Right now, somewhere in the world, two people are kissing. Maybe it's a couple pressed against each other in an airport, reuniting after weeks apart. Maybe it's a mother pressing her lips to her child's forehead in the dark after a nightmare. Maybe it's something quieter, a goodbye at a doorstep, a hello that says more than language ever could. You have done this. Someone has done this to you. And in the moment it happens, it feels entirely personal, entirely yours. But here's what almost nobody stops to consider. That gesture, that pressing of lips to another human being, is one of the oldest, most mysterious, and most deeply wired behaviors in the entire history of our species. And the story of where it came from will make you look at something you do every single day in a way you never have before. Because kissing is not just affection. It is not just romance. It is not even just human. It is memory. It is survival. It is a language your body learned long before words existed. Let's go back, much further than you think. Imagine a world without cities, without language as we know it, without the concept of love as a feeling you could name. Picture the African savanna, somewhere between 1 and 2 million years ago. Open, golden, dangerous. Small groups of early humans moving across the land, sleeping close together for warmth and safety, communicating not with sentences, but with touch, sound, smell, and proximity. These were not the romantic humans of poetry. They were survival machines. Every behavior they had evolved because it solved a problem. Every instinct cost energy, and energy was not guaranteed. Nothing about early human behavior was accidental. Everything meant something. So when did they first press their lips to someone else? The honest answer is that no archaeologist will ever find a fossil of a kiss. There is no bone that preserves that gesture, no stone tool that records it. But what scientists have found in evolutionary biology, in primate behavior, in neurochemistry, in the anthropology of the oldest human cultures, paints a picture that is stranger and more beautiful than most people expect. And it begins not with love, it begins with food. Before cooking, before agriculture, before the domestication of fire as a reliable technology, early human mothers fed their infants in a way that many other mammals still do today. They chewed food, softened it with their own saliva, pre-digested it slightly, and then transferred it directly from their mouths to the mouths of their young. Mouth to mouth, lips to lips. This was not a kiss in any romantic sense. It was nourishment. It was survival. But something profound was happening in the biology underneath it. Because in that exchange of breath, of saliva, of warmth, something was being transmitted beyond just food. Immunological information, microbial data, a mother's entire biological experience of the world passed directly into the body of a child who had not yet developed its own defenses. The mouth, it turns out, is one of the richest biological environments in the human body. A single kiss transfers somewhere between 10 million and 1 billion bacterial colonies. And while that number sounds alarming by modern standards, evolutionarily, it was a gift. A mother was not just feeding her child. She was preparing it, arming it, giving it a microscopic map of every pathogen she had survived. Your brain is still doing this today. Not consciously. You are not thinking about bacterial transfer when you kiss someone. But your body remembers what kissing once was. Now here is where it gets stranger. Because that behavior, lips to lips, breath to breath, did not stay confined to mothers and infants. It spread. It mutated. It evolved into something that serves a completely different but equally ancient purpose. Around the same time that early humans were developing more complex social structures, something remarkable was happening in the chemistry of human contact. The act of pressing lips to another body, to a forehead, to a cheek, to another mouth, triggered a neurochemical cascade that researchers today would describe as a sophisticated evaluation system. When you kiss someone, your brain begins processing an extraordinary amount of data. The temperature of their skin, the scent of their breath, the particular chemical signature carried in their saliva, a signature partially determined by their immune profile, their stress levels, their genetic compatibility with your own body. You are not conscious of any of this, but deep in the oldest parts of your brain, the parts that predate language and reason and civilization, a calculation is being made. Is this person healthy? Are they safe? Does their biology complement mine? Early humans did not have dating profiles. They did not have language sophisticated enough to describe what they needed in a partner. But they had this, a biological instrument more sensitive than any technology we have built, the human face, pressed against another human face, reading the invisible text written in warmth, in chemistry, and breath. Kissing in this sense is an ancient diagnostic tool, and it is extraordinarily accurate. Studies of what happens in the human brain during a first kiss reveal that the experience activates more neural pathways simultaneously than almost any other social behavior. The olfactory system, the limbic system, the prefrontal cortex, all firing together, cross-referencing data, making assessments. In the early history of our species, a bad first kiss, a kiss that felt wrong, that triggered discomfort without clear reason, may have been the difference between a healthy partnership and a catastrophic one. Your instincts still know this. Think about the last time a kiss felt wrong. Not emotionally wrong, biologically wrong. Wrong in a way you couldn't articulate. That discomfort is ancient. That is your body doing exactly what it was designed to do. Evaluating, protecting, surviving. But kissing did not stop at survival. It never does with humans. Because humans are the only species on the planet that transforms biological function into meaning. We take what the body does for reasons of survival, and we build entire civilizations of feeling around it. We did it with fire. We did it with music. We did it with ritual and prayer, and art painted onto the walls of caves by the light of animal fat lamps. And we did it with the kiss. The earliest recorded evidence of kissing as a conscious, intentional social act comes from the Indian subcontinent. Vedic Sanskrit texts from roughly 3,500 years ago that describe the pressing of lips together as a form of love and intimacy. Ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs gesture toward the act. Sumerian poetry, some of the oldest written literature on Earth, speaks of mouths meeting. But the most striking discovery is not in any single ancient text. It is in the universality of the behavior itself. Researchers studying kissing across human cultures have found that some form of lip-to-lip contact exists in virtually every known human society, from the most technologically advanced to the most isolated. Some cultures do not kiss romantically. Some kiss in greeting. Some reserve it only for sacred ritual. But the gesture is there, in every corner of the species, in every era of recorded history. That does not happen with invented behaviors. That happens with instincts. What changed across millennia was not the impulse, it was the meaning humans layered on top of it. The Romans had different kisses for different relationships. The osculum, pressed to the cheek, for respect. The basium, exchanged between lips, for affection. The savium, deep and private, reserved for passion. These were not casual distinctions. These were social contracts. Entire political alliances were sealed with a kiss. Entire religious traditions encoded it as a gesture of peace, of devotion, of sacred recognition. The disciples of early Christianity exchanged what they called the holy kiss, a greeting between believers that signified belonging to the same body of humanity. Medieval European rulers kissed newly sworn vassals on the mouth as a seal of loyalty and obligation. In Japan, where romantic kissing was historically considered intensely private,
The deep bow served a parallel social function, a physical gesture of recognition, of vulnerability, of trust. Different tools, the same ancient impulse. To close the distance between two bodies, to signal, I am not a threat, I am here, I recognize you. That instinct never disappeared. Consider what you are actually doing when you press your lips to someone you love. You are making yourself briefly vulnerable. You are lowering every defensive instinct your body carries, closing your eyes, bringing your face close to another face, opening the most sensitive surface of your body to contact with another person. In the deep evolutionary logic of the human animal, this is an extraordinary act of trust. And trust, for a species that survived on the savanna by learning who was safe and who was not, is not a small thing. It is everything. Modern life has wrapped kissing in candlelight and poetry, in Hollywood films and Valentine's Day rituals, in greeting cards and wedding ceremonies. We have turned it into symbol and metaphor. The kiss that seals the deal, the kiss that says goodbye, the first kiss that marks the moment everything changed.
But underneath all of that, underneath every cultural story we have ever told about kissing, the original language remains. The language of breath and warmth and biological recognition. The language your ancestors spoke on a cold night in a world without cities, reaching toward another human being, not out of romance, but out of something older and more fundamental. The need to know another person was real. The need to be close to something alive. The need to say, without words, in the only language the body had always known, I see you. I trust you. You are not alone. And so tonight, when someone kisses you, or when you remember the last time they did, feel the full weight of what that gesture carries. Feel the hundreds of thousands of years compressed into that single moment of contact. Feel the mothers who kept infants alive by pressing their lips together in the dark. Feel the ancient minds that learned to read safety in the warmth of another face. Feel the civilizations that made a gesture into a covenant. You are not just kissing a person. You are continuing one of the oldest conversations in human history. And every single time you do, in love, in habit, in grief, in celebration, you are adding one more line to a story that began long before language existed to tell it. The story of what it means to be human enough to close the distance between yourself and someone else, and mean it.